with my table of contents set up now, I can go into my pages and just add a little bit of space so I can actually add the table of contents inside of this. So what I want to do is go into Pages, the Pages tab, click on that first page, and if I go down to this plus sign, it'll just add a page, but typically it's going to add it after that page that I've got selected. So to kind of have a little bit more flexibility, I can click on this line stack over here in the right top corner, and this will give me options for those pages, and I can just go to Insert Pages, and here I can do a couple of things. I can add how many pages I want to add, and I can add before, after, start of the document, so on and so forth. So I have the first page selected, so I want to go before the page, and I'm just going to add 2 pages, and this is the page that I'm actually adding it in front of, so I can change that there. And you can also apply different masters to these pages as you insert them. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and now I've added 2 blank pages in front of everything. I didn't need 2, but just to make it a little bit clearer. I'm also going to get rid of these symbols here, so I'm going to go to Type and Hide Hidden Characters to get rid of that. So in my first page, I'm going to select it right here, and I'm going to go under my layout. And now that I've created the table of contents styles, I'm going to go to Table of Contents, and it's going to give me the options as far as, a default one I've just created, and I'm just going to use the one that I've created. I've got the title there, I've got the style, and I've got the styles inside of it. So I've got chapters with their own style, sub-chapters with their own style. And once everything is all set up, I'm going to use this Create PDF Bookmarks. I'll show you guys that later. I'm just going to go ahead, hit OK, and it's going to load up the table of contents that we created on the cursor, and now I can paste it inside this area right here. And you can see that the chapters have their own style, the subheadings have their own style, and I have this title that's got its own style. So that's the one we created with the text was centered with a little bit of different color, and these next 2 had a little bit of different styles associated with them too, and the leading dots here, and also I have the plus signs on those, so just to kind of offset them. And the spacing is a little bit different as well. Now it's a little bit cluttered, so let's see if we can kind of space this out. But that's just the general way of just creating that. Once you create all those styles inside of your table of contents, you can apply it. So I'm just going to go to Properties again, and if I kind of select in here, I can get back into my text stuff and text styles, and I'm just going to open up my paragraph styles. And I can just start modifying those styles now. So I've got them all in here. For instance, this War of the World's Contents, the index of the table of contents, I can just select on that. And now if I just double click on this, I'm just going to use this so I can actually see it. So I can go here, for instance, and indents and spacing. And it's centered right now. I'm going to click on Preview, make sure that's checked. I can left justify it. I can put it to the right and just throw it back to center. What I want to play around with is the first line indent. I can do that, but also the space before and the space after. So if I just want to kind of increase the space there, I can do that. I could play around with some other settings, the paragraph rules, the rules above and line, but for now I just want to kind of create that space and then get back into some of the other styles that I've got. So if I go ahead and hit OK, and I'm just going to click on this chapters in the table of contents. And in here, again, I want to just go back into my indents and spacing maybe, and just add a little bit of space before. So I'll kind of push things out a little bit as I go through. And if I want to make sure that these are kind of all lined up about the same, I can go into this tabs and just make sure that I've got this set up here. And it looks like I'm at 4 inches for this right justification tab. And when I go back into the other one, I can kind of fix that. But if I just drag this around, you'll see I can bring those numbers a little bit closer in line with the others. want to get closer to the edge of the page. You know, it's 5.5 inches, so I could just kind of bring that out, but that's going within the borders, the margins. So I'm just going to bring it in. And it looks like I kind of got rid of it. Let me just bring it back there. It's better. So now if I go back in, I'll hit OK here, and go ahead into the other style, the subheadings and the type of table of contents. And I'm just going to go back into indents and spacing and tabs, and just push this along to the right a little bit so I can push those out. Yeah, it's better. And I don't like the plus signs in there, so I can try something different just to see what that'll look like. And I might have to kind of click into another area to kind of do that. See that it actually looks like in the preview. You can see I've added a few subheadings into the first 3 chapters, and the other chapters don't have any. So just play around with that so you can add some of your own. And now I can even add maybe a little bit more spacing, so I can just get a little bit more spacing in between here. That's better. And again, if I don't like the font, I can always change that here. So I can just change all of that to something a little bit different. And you could play around with everything in there and just hit OK. And you can see what that'll look like now. Just one more thing with this. If I go into my book here and I change the pages a little bit. So for instance, my first chapter is on page 3. And if I go in here, I'm just going to double click it here and just kind of return it until it pushes it to a different page. So now it's technically on page 4, and some of these others sub-chapters may have moved a little bit here too. Right now it's not updated, so to do that I just have to select my index here, my table of contents. And if I just go to layout now, you'll see that this second option of the table of contents, this update table of contents, is active now. If I click on that, it'll ask me to kind of make sure that I want to do it. And typically when I do this, if I'm starting to push things around, I probably push things off the page to the end. I'm not worried about that right now. And you notice that the pages have changed for the ones that I've moved. Okay, let me go ahead and hit save.